Hello and welcome to lesson 6.3. Today we're going to talk about solving equations using the distributive property. Take a moment and try this do now. Be sure to pause the video. Here's an example answer that you may or may not have come up with. Did you come up with something similar? All right, let's look into this a little bit further. Starting with example number 1. Solving equations using the distributive property. So first and foremost, who can remind me what the distributive property means? That's right. Anything that you see outside of the parentheses, you must draw your arrows in and multiply it by every single item inside of the parentheses. Whenever you're distributing something, you are indeed distributing it to every term inside of the parentheses using multiplication. All right, each of the graphic novels in Chen's collection increased in value by $3.50 in the last few years. If each graphic novel has the same value, what is the original value of one graphic novel? So, you have 10 graphic novels that currently total the value of $75. All right, so again, you have to look at this and look at your key points. They have a total value of $75. Therefore, right here in this equation, you are setting it equal to 75. Okay. The other thing you know is that you have 10 of these books. Outside of the parentheses, they put the 10. Now, we don't know what the value of each book is offhand, but we know that each book went up, so we're going to add $3.50 to whatever that original value was. Okay? Now, notice your 10 is outside of the parentheses. So what do you have to do? That's right. You have to multiply that 10 by each item inside the parentheses, which they show you below. 10 times G, 10 times 350. Now, you simplify this because you have 10G plus 35 equals 75. Again, remember whenever you're solving equations, draw that line down from the equal sign. Now they show you in red, you're trying to isolate your variable. You're trying to solve for your variable to get it all by itself. So in order to do that, the first thing you have to do is get rid of any constant or anything that is not connected to the actual variable. So the very first thing you're going to do, the opposite of addition, they show you in red here, is subtraction. So you have to subtract 35 from both sides. Remember your rules. Remember your rules for positive and negative numbers. Okay? You should have those written down in tons of places. All right. Well, then you have a coefficient and a variable, 10G. Well, you know that's multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division. So you have to divide both sides by 10. That will indeed leave G all by itself. 40 divided by 10 is 4. So the original value of the novel is $4 each. Let's try another one. All right. Now again, you don't have to use all of these blanks if you don't choose. Let's read the question. A collector has a box of 32 figurines. The value of each figurine increased by $2.32 over the past year. The box of figurines is now worth $114.24. What was the original cost? Okay, get your highlighter out. Let's highlight what we know. Well, we know we have 32 figurines. We know they increased by $2.32, so we're going to be adding that. We don't know the original cost of each because they're calling it X, and that's what they want us to find. And we know that the total is now worth $114.24. So let's set this up. So we know we have a total of We know we have a total of $114.24. Okay. And we know that we bought 32 figurines. We are not sure what they originally costed. However, we know they went up in value for $2.32 each. All right. Again, this is a distributive property. The 32 is touching the parentheses, so you have to multiply it by everything inside of the parentheses. So my 114.24 is going to come straight down. And 32 times x, remember these arrows mean multiplication, is 32x plus 32 times 232, which is 74.24. Yes, you have a calculator, use it. All right. Now what I have to do is I have to get that x by itself. So I am going to have to subtract this 74.24 to get it off of the right side and over to the left side. I am going to subtract that from 114.24, which will then leave me with a new total of 40 equals 32x. Okay, the 32x is indeed multiplication. So opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 32. So 40 divided by 32 in my calculator tells me I paid $1.25 each. So each figurine original cost was $1.25. All right, let's look at example number 2. Okay. Example number 2 is the exact same thing. We're just distributing a negative number. The important thing to remember about distributing a negative number is you have to remember your rules for integers. So it doesn't matter. You're simply going to distribute the -5, which means you are going to multiply everything in the parentheses by the -5. They show you that a negative times a positive s is a -5s. A negative times a positive 30 is a -150 equal to -117. Okay. Then what you're going to do, obviously, again, draw your line down. You got to make sure you do the same thing to both sides. They add. Why do they add? Because the opposite of subtraction is addition. They add 150 to both sides. So they now have -5s equal to 133. Again, to get the s by itself, they have to divide by -5. A positive divided by a negative is indeed a negative. Therefore, s equals -26 3/5. Okay. Solve equations by distributing a rational number. Guys, this is the exact same thing. You're just simply now multiplying by a fraction or a decimal. You know how to multiply by these. When you're multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across. Put your 1 under your whole number and multiply straight across. Pretty self-explanatory on this. So let's try some of these. Let's try this one on the bottom, which happens to be a negative fraction that we have to distribute. So the very first thing I'm going to require you to do, draw your arrows in. I don't want to see anybody's papers submitted to me without your arrows drawn in. It reminds you have to do it to everything in the problem. So then we have -1/2 b. A negative times a negative is indeed a positive. And 1/2 times 6 is 3, equal to 5. Okay. I have to subtract the 3 from both sides. That means I'm going to come up with -1/2 b equal to 2. I have to divide by -1/2. Divide by -1/2. So that leaves me with, b equals -4. All right, let's try the next one. Yep, it's a decimal. That's all right. We all have calculators. I'm not expecting you to do it in your head. Multiply it. Okay, 0.4 times x. Well, 0.4x minus 0.4 times -0.45 would be negative, because it's a negative and a positive, 0.18 equals 9.2. Draw your line down. Okay. Opposite of subtraction is addition. When you add those together, you come up with 9.38. All right, opposite of multiplication is division. 9.38 divided by 0.4, x equals 23.45. Okay, and this very last one, again, draw in your arrows, draw in your arrows, draw in your arrows, always draw in your arrows. You have -4p plus you have a negative times a negative, which becomes a positive. 848 equal to 44. You are going to, again, that's right, subtract 848. Okay. So now we have -4p equals -804. Divide by the -4. A negative divided by a negative equals a positive. So the answer is going to be 804 divided by 4, which is 201. That concludes the lesson for the day.